Welcome to Hindsight Hacking. I'm Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool, and we've talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs hacking their hindsight to give you better foresight.
And now we're bringing you those same great interviews along with other mindset hacks, visibility hacks, and traffic hacks, and more to get you all the tools you need to gain more visibility and gain more traffic.
And of course, gain more sales. So head over to gethhm.com/toolbox to get all the free resources to help you get more.
And so without further ado, let's get to it. Welcome to Hindsight Hacking, everyone. How's it going? Corey here. What's going on, Tony and Ron?
How's it going?
All right. So to everyone in the audience, for those of you that are familiar with Tony Caggiano, you are missing out. He is the ADA Comply guy. He's an entrepreneur of over 30 years. And honestly, he's got one of the biggest hearts that you would ever find. So if you have a website, you need to know Tony. Tony, what's going on, my friend?
How you guys doing today? Great to be here.
We are excited to have you. We've known Tony for, it's almost been a year, a couple more months. It's a year. And we met in person, and then we've continued this cool relationship online. But for the people that don't know who you are, can you give a quick little backstory about Tony?
Yes, absolutely. Well, like you said, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years. I was the typical kid who needed to make money. So I figured out a way to lure my neighbors into letting me cut their grass. So that was my first dive into becoming an entrepreneur and working for myself. But since then, I've tried many different things, from, owning my own IT company. I was a DJ for 22 years, even down to my wife and I owned a childcare center. So it's been a long, fun road. I've done really well in some, and not so well in others, and taken those failures and turned them around and turned them into lessons. But most recently, I've been able to get more into the online digital world, and being in IT, I was able to connect with a developer to provide a service that a lot of businesses need, that are now online and bringing their online presence really more to the forefront. So I'm sure we'll dive into that in a little bit, but that's where I am right now.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know ADA compliance on websites, you can head over to nowmydream22.com and you can see the full aspect of being ADA compliant. Tony was nice enough to install that on our page, and it literally took him like 2 seconds. So we don't want any lawsuits like some of the famous people like Kylie Jenner just because an ADA website's not ADA compliant. But let's pull back a little bit first. You have had the successful businesses. You've had the failures you mentioned. You've even worked with your wife. I would love to hear a little bit about like what was the most successful and why, and maybe what was the one that was led to the biggest opportunity or learning lessons, and why.
Okay. Well, I would have to say the most successful was my DJ business, which was kind of my second part-time business that I was doing on the weekends, because I loved music. So I grew up my mom was a piano teacher, just got into music really young, and everything in my life had to do with music. I loved going to concerts in college. Pearl Jam was my biggest, I got to meet the band, at University of Massachusetts before they became big. And so music was just a part of every part of my life. And so I got involved by accident because I met a friend whose dad owned a roller skating rink, and he invited me to hang out with him one night in the DJ booth. And I just loved it. And just from there, started learning about it, got a mentor. He brought me in, taught me how to do weddings. And then from there, it just lasted for a 22-year span of, on weekends, I would travel all over New England, and do weddings. We were, him and I actually joined forces, and we were one of the biggest wedding companies in the area, doing DJ work for weddings. So I think that was really one of my biggest successes, because a lot of what I like to do is what I call relationship marketing, and because it was such a personal business, I would meet with the couples, get to know them personally, and really working for them to make that special day, the best it could be from, what I needed to do for them. So every business that I've had really stems back to giving back, or you're giving something to my clients and building a relationship with them. And that's really how I've been so successful in a lot of the businesses that I've had. But I think one of the biggest learning lessons came from probably one of my biggest failures was the childcare center. We bought that because when we moved to North Carolina, we knew nobody. We had no family or friends here, and we kind of ran into this place, this drop-in childcare center, where we drove up and we're like, what is this place? They're like, oh, you could just drop your kids off here for a couple hours if you want and go on a date. And we're like, no way. And we were just enthralled with the idea. We got to, we did our due diligence. We got to know the owners really well because they were a couple in town. And so we wound up using that place for 4 years when we first moved here. And our kids grew up there. They got to meet friends there, and they had play dates there. And we just loved the place so much. And the owners were kind of their kids were getting older, and they were doing travel hockey, and they were going to close the place. We're like, you can't do that. You can't do that. So we kind of jumped in kind of blindly and said, hey, we'll take it over. We'll buy it from you, not knowing what we were getting into. And so, that was a business that we kind of got into because of a personal thing that we wanted to help the community save this place, because a lot of people used it. So one of the big learning lessons that I had really was, to do your due diligence and make sure that if you're getting into a business, making sure it's the right fit for you, and making sure that it's going to be something that's going to benefit, not only you, but the community, and what you're going to be able to get out of it. So.
No, I love that you brought up both aspects, because I think when people start, buy a business, they instantly think if they open the doors, people's just going to walk in and it's easy. I used to own a restaurant, and that's what other restaurant owners thought. And I was like, no, you bought yourself a job. So just get past that. Once you get past that, you're fine. Yeah. I also love the piece where you're talking about the relationship marketing, right? So the relationship business, because especially online, we have built this relationship online. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we met each other, but I actually know you more because we hang out weekly on a Zoom call more than we talked, in February for 3 days in a row. Yeah. So that relationship piece, when did you realize that was kind of the key to what you were doing?
Great question. In the beginning, it was, I was the typical young entrepreneur saying, okay, here I am. This is what I do, buy my stuff. And it's like, like the analogy of, you're going to ask somebody to marry them on your first date. No. So I got more involved with networking, not network marketing, but networking in network groups where I would physically go. And that's how I grew my IT company. I got involved in a group called BNI, Business Networking International, and I was involved in some chambers and things, and I brought their concept there. But they had a philosophy called Givers Gain. And so what that really is building a relationship with the people in your group, this networking group, so that way you can be a trusted source for their clients. And so you're getting to know one person, building that relationship, and they're going to be referring you to their sphere of influence. And the average person has about 200 people that they can directly connect somebody else to as referral source or things like that. And so that's where I really first learned, building those relationships, and those relationships actually became really good friendships. And from there, I just got flooded with referrals because people would go out and say, hey, Tony has this IT company. He's really dedicated to his customers. I would do work for these people. And then they would say, hey, he's done a great job for me. You should hire him. So that was my first take on, hey, I really need to start building relationships. And then, I used that for years to come, but just really in the past year, once I learned about, the culture of ClickFunnels and went to Funnel Hacking Live and got to meet people, I was, engulfed in that networking again. I'm like, oh my God, these are some amazing people. I gotta really get to know them. And that week at Funnel Hacking Live really allowed me to create a lot of great connections. And then COVID hit, and there was no more, there were no more events I can go to. There were no more places that I could really connect with people. And then people started meeting more online, and I'm like, this is a great way to really start building those relationships. And that's what I did. I just dove in and started connecting with people, getting to know them, and wanting to figure out how I can go and help them first and give back to them. And that's how I started building more and more relationships.
Well, I have to say, every relationship I seem to have formed, Tony, they are like, oh yeah, I love Tony Caggiano. He's the best, right? Like you're like one step ahead of us every time on these relationships. It's pretty incredible. But I want to dive back a little bit to when all three of us met. Like all three of us have had this in and out of entrepreneurial journeys, little things here and there to try to be different. But then we all found ourselves in jobs. We found ourselves having the JOB and the bosses and good and the bad and the ugly of that situation. And when we met, we all had jobs. And then COVID hit, and it all changed, right?
Yeah.
And now none of us have a quote unquote job, right? We just have our businesses that we can only build through these relationships that we're building, right? So walk us through, like, I don't know, the last 6 months, right? Like you've been preparing for this well before. I mean, we were all preparing for this well before COVID hit, and then COVID forced it to go faster. But walk us through, like, how's that last year been as you've developed the ADA compliance stuff, and as you've really gone down this path to a point when you were forced to, you're all in or you're going to get a different job, right? And you might have to quit. So walk us through all that.
Well, like I said, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, and even when I had my jobs, I would be doing things on the side. So to me, it's very ingrained, and I honestly don't like working for other people. I do it, and I did it when I needed to, and I always gave my all when I had a job. I did my job to the best of my ability and gave it as much as I could, but I always had something on the side. I'm not the type of guy in my spare time to sit and just watch TV, although once in a while I like to watch a movie and whatnot. But I like to read books. I like to listen to podcasts. I like to learn from other people. And so that's just what I geek out on. And so I'm always doing something. And so last year when, I found myself with some extra time, I was helping my wife with a local charity. She started getting clothes for local kids, because there were kids going to our son's public school in pajamas in the wintertime with no jackets, because this area in North Carolina, there are kids that don't even have enough clothes to go to school. So she created this local charity fundraiser, collecting money and clothes for kids, and our garage was filled with clothes. And so, I really got back into the philanthropic frame of mind and really wanted to do something. And so I started, in my spare time, creating a fundraising app for the local schools to do it even more and whatnot. And that's kind of how it led to me finding ClickFunnels and the developer and kind of pivoting with COVID. But, I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to eventually go back to working for myself. And, that plan was there, and, it was probably going to be sometime next year where I was going to make the switch and say, okay, my business is big enough, I'm going to go that route, so that way I can make a smoother transition. But sometimes, there are factors that come about, and you just have to roll with them. Like a lot of us pivoted with COVID, and it turned out to be really good for a lot of people. The people who didn't embrace it, are still kind of struggling. And this is one of the things that I want to do to help people who are still struggling, help them figure out what their pivot is. But, when I found, that opportunity kind of closed with the fundraising, because it was more of a physical business to school connection, kind of a coupon fundraising thing. And I had to shelf that. I had put money into developing this app, and I shelved it. But another opportunity was staring me right in the face, because one of the developers that I kind of ran into was creating this software. And I knew about ADA compliance years ago, but it was more, okay, yeah, the bigger guys really need to do it and have their web developers redesign their whole site and make it compliant within a static set of frameworks for with the WCGA, is the international consortium of accessible design. And so that's what they were doing. And it used to cost thousands of dollars to really redesign your website. But then I saw this software where it actually put a toolbar and a bunch of tools to dynamically adjust the site right on the website, at a much more cost-effective way. And so not only was it more dynamic and allowed people with different needs to adjust the site to their specific needs instead of just a static website that conformed to a static set of needs, but it was also affordable now for almost everybody who had a website. And because the ADA was cracking down more and more and more on the smaller to medium-sized businesses, it really became apparent that this is something that was really, really needed. And so that opportunity was there. And I kind of just said, hey, I really think this is something that I need to do. So.
No, I love that. I think I have been struggling with this whole entrepreneurial journey myself because I just don't like working for people. I really, really don't. I try to get along with them. I just don't like
bad employee over there.
I am a bad employee. I am a very bad employee, and I've been a bad employee. And it's not that I didn't do my job, because I did my job. I don't like bosses. I just don't, right? Because you get hired to do a job, and at one point they're excited that you're different and you're doing something different because it was something that maybe they didn't think of, and you're able to impact the business. But the second you get it to where they want you to get it to, guess what happens? They instantly want you to conform to exactly what probably got them into that mess in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been struggling with that with my wife for a while, and yeah, I'm happily unemployed now, so that's awesome. But the other piece that you talked about was the opportunity, right? So an opportunity gets, I talk about it in a moment. So moments are presented to you, and you either make a choice to take the moment or you don't, right? Mm-hmm. What made you decide, and maybe it wasn't a choice, but what made you decide now's the moment that I'm going to take for me?
As far as taking this opportunity and saying this is right for me, is that the question? Yep. Well, really, it kind of stems back also to, kind of a little bit in my personal life. Our son was diagnosed with autism when he was 2. So, throughout the years, we've been finding ways to help him adapt and learn the way that he learns. And so we've always been, since then, we've been involved in a lot of different charities and giving back to people with disabilities. And it kind of just, was staring me in the face saying, hey, this is a way that you can combine your past experience and expertise in business, in IT, and, with helping people with disabilities. And it just kind of was an opportunity, smacked me in the face. It wasn't just an opportunity saying, hey, this is something you can do. It was like, this was meant for you to do this. And I said, you know what, I'm all in. And, and the ADA Comply guy was kind of born one day when, I figured out I was all in, and I was talking to my wife in the car. I said, you know what, I really need to figure out how I can be the expert in this space and learn everything I can about it and really bring my story into it and help others, not only the business owners that are going to, help their website and bring more people in that otherwise can't use their site, but also be an advocate for the disabled community, and not just people who are seeing impaired or hearing impaired. It's really, there's many different abilities that I like to say that can utilize these tools and, bring them into the online world where they otherwise can't.
So good, Tony. Man, your heart is just bigger than I can even imagine. Hearing about your passions all stem to the charity for the kids, helping the fundraising, right? Like all the stuff. I'm getting a weird echo, but definitely it's just pretty incredible, Tony.
Well, thank you.
You're echoing.
Everything's echoing right now. I'm not sure why.
Weird.
So,
beauty of life.
Who else is off? Who else got some type of volume? Come on, what do we got going on? But all right, Tony. So I'm going to pivot to our signature question because I really want to dig into ADA Comply guy, and
Okay.
what everything is happening in the future and now, and just that whole subject is so cool. But before we get there, if you had perfect hindsight, we all know hindsight's 2020. So if you had the ability with a perfect hindsight and you could go back in time and talk to a younger Tony, what advice would you give, and when would you go back?
Oh gosh, I think I it goes back probably to my mid-20s when I really wanted to really give up, and the thing that I would tell my younger self now, and it's really become my own mantra, and I kind of borrowed it from a Disney movie, Meet the Robinsons. It's my mantra of keep moving forward, because a lot of times, even in your journey of being an entrepreneur, you're going to have some really great successes, and you're going to like feel really, really good about yourself. And then the next day you could have something that could really hit you hard and be kind of a downer and really bring you way down. And a lot of those times you really have to just look back at the past week, the past month, the past year, and see how far you've come. Where was I back then? And then look at where you are now when you're at a down place and be like, well, I've made it this far. I can keep moving forward and make it even further. And that kind of helps bring you back up, bring your spirit back up in order to continue on your path, because it may take you a while. There are a lot of overnight successes that took years. A lot of people say, I'm a 10-year overnight success. And it's the truth, because a lot of people really grind for a long time before they figure out what works and, build to whatever they consider success. So it would definitely be to make sure I tell myself to keep moving forward, because there was a time when I just quit and I went back to corporate America, and I was just like, okay, I'll just get a job, and that's it. And it didn't take long for me to not like that and wanted to go back. So for everybody out there, just keep moving forward. Know that you're doing good, even if you don't feel like you're moving anywhere. Look back a month, look back 6 months, look back a year, and see how far you've come.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Giving yourself the opportunity to stop, look where you used to be, and recognize what you've accomplished. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
When we met at FHL, I had actually no idea how ADA compliance, like I didn't understand. I was like, what are we doing? And then you put it on our site, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I understand, right? Now I get it. So for me, I was like, not only do I think he's a great person, but his product is helping so many people out there. It's phenomenal. So guys, definitely check it out for sure. But I know you're doing other things as well. So what else are you up to, Tony?
Well, I kind of like, as an entrepreneur, I've been helped throughout my journey by other entrepreneurs who were mentors or, just good friends, I've created relationships with, have helped me along the way. And so I've always, and as you've seen with any of my other businesses, always been a passion for me to give back and help others. So I've also started a Facebook group called The Entrepreneurial Journey to give back to other entrepreneurs, connect other entrepreneurs with, other people who have either found success or, haven't even gotten there yet, or even new entrepreneurs, to connect people when they need to be connected. So, I like to share my own experiences and, help others figure out where they are in their journey and where they need to be. So it's kind of like being a coach for hundreds of people in my group and people who like to follow me. And so I like to just connect other entrepreneurs, because I don't know it all. And I definitely will never, ever know it all. I like to connect and surround myself with people who know more and different things than I do. So that way I can leverage their expertise to help myself and the other people that I meet. And I've connected a lot of different people that I've met in Funnel Hacking Live to each other, and in this community. And, I don't look to do it to get the recognition for it, but I've seen how some of these connections, and other people have done it too. Like our good friend Jim Beard has done it in an amazing way, just connecting a whole bunch of different people in the community to each other. And that's really how, communities can really explode. And, you know, when you get a bunch of people that are experts in a certain area, in different areas together, you can really create some amazing synergy. And so that's what I really like to do, to connect people and, you know, trying to share my expertise. And eventually, you know, I'd like to put it together in a coaching program where I can really, you know, dive deep and help others one-on-one and help their businesses as well.
So good. So good. I can't wait to see that coaching program, Tony. That it's going to be epic, I am sure. But can you walk us through a little bit of ADA comply, what it means without too much of the techno babble, because it's, you know, obviously many of us, when we met you, it was the first time we truly heard of, at least Ron and I, that we truly heard about a website being ADA compliant, right? And obviously you see it, when you're out in public, you see it everywhere. Like, building restaurants and being involved with any opening of any kind of business, like ADA compliance is without question part of the process, right? So it's funny that I never personally thought of it being part of the process online. And so you have something that is needed, and I would love to, you know, I know in your website you've got a couple of stories of past reasons why it's needed, but yeah, just give us some details about just ADA comply.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you touched a little bit on, I'll explain exactly, you know, a little bit what ADA compliance is for websites. So, you know, we all know brick and mortar buildings, you see it every day, handicap parking and ramps and handicap accessible bathrooms and grab bars and all those things. Those were brought into law in 1990, signed into law by President Bush at the time. And, you know, now as part of building codes and everything are required for brick and mortar businesses to allow for people with disabilities to be able to access and use public spaces. Well, back in approximately, it was like 2016 or so, Winn-Dixie was one of the first online cases where somebody with a disability brought a lawsuit against them through the ADA for not being able to utilize their website because they couldn't see it, and whatever the case may be. And the judge actually said, you need to go and change your website. And so that was the beginning of a whole slew of follow-up ADA lawsuits against people or companies like Chick-fil-A, Home Depot. Kylie Jenner's one of the newer ones, but Beyonce was one of the first big people. And so they went through all of the large corporations, and these corporations went and fixed their websites statically and said, okay, now we're ADA compliant. But then, you know, it now is trickling down into the small to medium-sized businesses to make sure that these websites are compliant. So in order to take away the technobabble, to explain basically what it is, I've come up with this analogy story, and it's basically the story of a builder, you know, a contractor who goes to this job site and has the opportunity to build one of three houses. So the first house, he goes to the job site and everything is there for him for materials. He's got the wood, he's got the nails and everything, but he has no tools to actually build the house. So he has to figure out how to build this house without a hammer, without any tools. The next house he has all of the wood, all of the nails, and all the materials, and they hand him a hammer and say, this is your only tool. You can go and you can build this house, but all you have is hammer. He can probably build the house, but it may take him a while. He won't be as productive, and he may give up before he finishes the house. But the third house, he goes there, and they have all the materials, obviously, and then they give him a whole bunch of tools, including a pneumatic nail gun that's adjustable to his use, however fast he wants to go. And so he's able to go and build this house super efficiently, get the job done, and actually have fun, building the house, and then move on to the next house that he wants to build. So if you take a look at these three scenarios, which one do you think he's actually going to go to? The first house being a house without any ADA compliance, comparing it to a website, where somebody goes there and they can't use the site because there's no tool or tools to be able to allow them to see the site, adjust the site, hear the site, and so they just leave. So the second house is equivalent to a website that is ADA compliant, but statically. A web designer's gone in and statically made the font's a certain size, the contrast a certain way, and everything like that. And it would help some people, but it's not going to help the masses who need a whole bunch of different tools for their different needs. And so they may go through it. It may be tough for them. They may complete the job, but most of them will probably give up and move on. And then the third house is really equivalent to a dynamically adjustable site that's compliant and accessible, giving you all the tools that different people would need to utilize the website, whether it be a screen reader, contrast changes, font sizes, magnification, whatever the tools that they're going to need, they specifically need, they can utilize to change the site, go through the site and convert and complete the sale. And so it's the business owners are actually attracting, 18 to 25% of internet users have some sort of disability that hinders using websites. So it's a huge amount of people out there that they're not bringing to their website that they can. And now, these people can go and utilize these websites. And so my main goal really is to go out there and be an advocate and educate businesses about the need for this, to bring, to advocate for the disabled community and bring them together, let the people buy where they want to buy, and let the business owners thrive in this changing world that we're in, because more and more people are actually going to buy online, especially when things get back to the new normal. People are in the habit of buying more online and are going to, continue this, and they're really going to need it more and more as time goes on. So that's where my mission is, to help make the internet accessible to people of all abilities.
Well, what's cool about your product is it doesn't change. Like, let's say I go in and I change it for me. It doesn't change it for everybody. It just changes it for me. And so as the business owner, you're able to, like you said, reach out to people that they couldn't get to before, but they don't have to do anything except contact you, have you connect your stuff to them, and it's done. It's really, really simple. But the people that you can connect with after, they take care of it themselves, and they know how to do it because they do it in other places.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's very easy to install. It doesn't change the website, back end. You don't have to do any coding except for copy and paste a header code. It's a JavaScript code that we give you right into your website, and we can even help you with that. And then we can even go further. One of the big things that the ADA likes to have is for people with seeing impairments is alternate text. And that's when, they have different inputs to their computer where it will tell them when they're hovering over a picture, it'll describe that picture. And if they don't have alternate text in their website, and our software will help embed those very easily in the background. We can scan the website, it'll give us a list of pictures, and we can put in all your alt text for you. But if they hover over a picture, if there's nothing in alt text, it'll just say picture, picture, picture. And, you want it to say logo of Hindsight Hacking, picture of Ron Cool, picture of Corey Carter. When they hover over it, they want to know what they're hovering over, and this is where the alternate text comes in. And so that's one of the advanced features that we have available as well, that before now was really something that had to be hard coded inside the website back end. So,
man, it's so amazing. The interwebs have come a long way with all the different softwares available, with all the people like you that see the problem and then find the solution for the said problem. So it's so incredible. All right, Tony. So I have one final question from me. And, you've talked a lot about the relationship aspect. You've talked a lot about things that you do because of your big heart and how you want to serve. So if you were to leave a listener with one single thing that they could walk away with today to actually get out there and either show a bigger heart, serve a better way, or create a new software or something, like where would you tell them? What would you tell them to get them on that path?
Take a look at what you're doing or what you want to do and what your passion is, and figure out how that relates and could help somebody else. I've always been driven to make sure that everything that I've done, in somehow, some way, is going to benefit somebody else. And, if you're growing a business, figure out how you can help somebody before you benefit. Don't go out there just to help people just to benefit, but give of yourself, give of your time, give something to somebody before you ask for something in return, or not even ask for something in return. Because sometimes, one of the biggest things that I've seen in the philosophy of Giver's Game, I've given to a lot of people out of just loving to give to people. And I may not get anything back directly from that person, but that person will either connect me to somebody else who will become a customer, or referral, or some way, something that, when you put it out into the world, it's going to come back to you in some one way or another. Even if it's not a direct return, it's going to come back to you. So, figure out in your business, if you're out there right now and you're selling a product and you're just focusing on selling and the money you're going to bring in, dig a little deeper. Look at how your product, or can you add a service that's going to be a value add to your customer? Figure out how to help them first before asking for that sale.
Gosh, Tony, I think we keep going on and on forever, but I totally appreciate you being with us today. And where can our audience, I know they're probably wanting to understand a little bit more about ADA compliance, but where can they find you?
A couple different places. Right now, I'm really active on Facebook. Getting more onto Instagram, but I try to do a lot of Facebook Lives. I started that a few months ago, and I love doing that. So, watch for me. Connect with me on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. Contact me directly. I love talking to people. I love creating relationships. So, I'm the type of person where you could reach out directly, and I'm going to respond. I don't have a big team or chat bots or anything like that. So reach directly out to me. But also, my Facebook group, The Entrepreneurial Journey, please feel free to come in and you can, watch the interviews that I do. I've been trying to do them twice a week. I'm going to get back to that schedule very soon. But if you want to learn more about ADA compliance for your website, you can go right to my website at adacomplyguy.com. And I'm going to be adding a lot more videos and explainer videos to really dive deep into. There's a lot more that goes into it that I can't. We can spend hours on here explaining, but there's going to be a lot more information very soon to really explain how it's going to help your business and how you're going to help the greater good and the disabled community as a whole. So,
all right, so. If you out there listening have a website, dream of having a website, anything online, you need to know Tony, the ADA Comply guy, for sure. He'll help you out and make sure to keep you compliant. And definitely head on over to his Facebook group, Entrepreneurial Journey, where he interviews such great guys like, myself. I've been on there. I'd like to think about that. I know Ron is going to be on there soon. And definitely, Tony, it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last 8 months, 10 months, wherever we're at with that journey. And it is our entrepreneurial journey side by side with you that has been definitely such a blessing. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. And it's an honor to know you guys.
Thanks, Tony. We appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
All right, everyone. I truly hope you enjoyed that. And I am serious. The man with the biggest heart of somebody that I've met in this online space, Tony Caggiano. What a great person he is. And his mission, Ron, to go from helping and serving kids that need, some kind of fundraiser, clothes, food, all that stuff, to helping the entire world with ADA compliance. Because he's out to serve so many people that need it. And it's just, so commendable.
Yeah, it makes you look and see if you're doing enough as a person. I mean, really. As he was talking, I was like, gosh, am I doing enough to give back? Right.
Right.
So it was very thought-provoking for me.
Yeah. I mean, I know we have some ideas, but we've yet to move forward on those ideas. So, speaking of moving forward, do you have any takeaways today?
I do. And actually, one of them was moving forward. So that was going to be number 2, but we're going to go with number 1 since it was such a great setup. So first thing is, don't quit. I've said this, and I used to say the word, what if? What if you don't start? What if you quit? who are you not impacting and who are you robbing of their future by stopping what you're doing, right? It's not always going to be perfect. It's going to have hard times because the hard times help you learn something you need to learn. And if you keep having the same hard time, you're not learning what you need to learn. So really analyze what you're going through. And the other piece is something that he said that, Corey, I think you've heard me say before, surround yourself with people that can do things you can't do. Right?
Yep.
All the time in jobs, in your entrepreneurial journey, find people that are better at things than you are and give them the space to be great.
Yeah.
That will make you better.
So good. So good. All right. So, and I gotta add one, just because, as you said, you walked away with thinking, thought provoked, like, are we doing enough? But the other piece, like, if you go in, and I think we've done a daily hack on this, if you go in to a situation without any expectation, right? If you start with the mindset of, I am going to give, and I'm going to give, and I'm going to give, and I'm going to serve, and when the time is right, it will come tenfold. And for anybody in the church, like they always talk about tithings, right? Like you give and you give, then it comes back. And so that's the same thing. You may not have to give money. You may not have to donate anything like that, but you can give your expertise. You can give your shoulder. You can give your ear and lend a time that a person needs. And so much. Tony definitely brings that out of people, like, to make you think, are you giving enough? Are you serving enough? So Tony, you're the man. I really appreciate knowing you, and thank you. But all right. So next thing, I just want to put it out there. If you on the iTunes, on the Google, the Amazon, the iHeartRadio, anywhere, if you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button, go rate, go review, and definitely come join the Facebook group. For anybody that's watching live right now, you're already in the Facebook group, so we love you. And definitely check out Wait On Monday, October 26th. We've got something special for you, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun because I'm pretty sure, Ron, everyone wants to gain more visibility, gain more traffic, and
gain more sales. Guys, we thank you so much for being a part of the Hindsight Hackers community.